Hi everyone, welcome to episode 5 of the official Partick Thistle Football Club podcast as we get access all areas to the home dressing room and in this initial run of 6 episodes speak to some of the men's team class of 2024. Thanks to everyone first of all for the feedback from our most recent chat with Waziri Williams, and yes, we are definitely trying to get George in for a chat very soon. Today's episode is once again supported by our Firhill friends, the podcast rooms, but also in partnership with valued club sponsor Glasgow Taxis. And today's guest, I'm sure, would appreciate a taxi to training once or twice a week, given the effort he puts in on the daily drive from Dumfries. And that is your men's team vice-captain, Aaron Muirhead. Welcome, Aero. An absolute pleasure to have you here. How are you?
Yeah, good, mate. Thanks for having me. It's obviously good to get us to come on, so looking forward to it.
Yes, your good friend Stevie Lawless said things were going to fall off a cliff after his appearance. That's not proven to be the case, and
I think Stevie likes to think he's kind of everything revolves around about him, but I think we kind of realised that it's not the case because I don't know. I think his was the least viewed, maybe. But as I said, I'm happy to be here and thanks for having me on.
Well, great. You've obviously got a great Firhill story and Thistle story, given both spells at the club. But we sit here today after 3 wins on the bounce, including back-to-back clean sheets, brilliant into March, and as we head into April. Just good to have that momentum. 3 wins in this league in a row is not easy doing, is it?
No, 100%. I think I kind of alluded to that when I was speaking to Michael after the game on Saturday. 3 wins, 2 clean sheets. It's been good to get the clean sheets. I think, as I said in my interview on Saturday, we've came under a wee bit of stick, but I think we showed a different side to us at the weekend in terms of being that resilient when we're not playing maybe as good as we're used to in terms of an attacking threat. So it was good that we showed that collectedness and got another clean sheet and 3 points and 3 wins. It just shows you in this league what it can do for you, and it's gave us that wee bit of cushion in third. But we'll not be resting on that going into Saturday, another big game at Dunfermline.
Absolutely. As a defender, winning ugly give you a different sense of satisfaction.
Yeah, definitely. I'd rather win an ugly 1-0 than go and win 4-0. Maybe the fans wouldn't like to hear that, but as a defender, games like that, you kind of pride yourself on. So it was a nice one.
Yeah, and that's the third win in a row against Inverness on Saturday. Some interesting spectators. I'm going to start with your brother Jordan. Congratulations again to all the Locker Thistle boys who won the South of Scotland League Cup on Friday night, and I'm not sure they've stopped celebrating yet, but I just need to check, is he down the road yet?
He got down the road. I ended up picking him up kind of Saturday night. It was a wee bit worse for wear, but no, they had a great day, and as I said to you earlier, thanks again to you for looking after them. They couldn't speak highly enough of you for what you put on for them on the day, and they had a good day, and luckily they were here to witness a win.
Kind words, clearly still bloated, but great effort after winning a cup final on the Friday night for 7 out of 10 to make the train on the Saturday morning. So a few of them missed the cup.
I'm surprised there wasn't more that missed it. Kind of seen some videos and that they were a bit worse for wear on the Friday, but that's to be expected winning a cup. And you need to enjoy these moments in football, whatever level you play at. So they certainly made the most of that.
Yes.
Day bender after it.
We'll come to milking celebrations in a minute, talking about the 2012-13. Also on Saturday there was a Champions League winner in the crowd, of course, by way of his son playing for the opposition. You didn't get a chance to bump into him, did you?
No, I never. I think my dad's kind of seen him when he was sitting up where the families sit. So he'd seen him. So I suppose he'll be like any father, and although he's busy with his own commitments, he just wants to support his son. So that was an interesting spectator. So just glad that he went home no happy after his son got beat.
Well, exactly. And you mentioned your dad, Neil. Not unusual for him to be in the crowd. He follows you pretty much everywhere, doesn't he?
No, I think we've spoke about this before. My dad's, I've been a big supporter of him. He's done a lot for me in terms of, at an early age, drove me all over the country playing football, and now he drives all over the country supporting me. My mum's maybe a bit sick of him, but at the same time, I think she quite enjoys getting a Saturday herself when he's away, and that's like a lot of guys his age have maybe got different things, and they'll spend a Saturday in the pub. But my dad's weekends predominantly about kind of supporting me, and if I'm playing on a Friday, then it gives him a chance to go and watch my wee brother on a Saturday. So he's been very, very good to me, my dad. So I think you've kind of spent a bit of time with him as well and realised that this means quite a lot to him as well. So
absolutely,
it's good.
I can see the pride it takes in following you. We'll come back to the theme of family, I'm sure, during this conversation. Just before we go back to the start of your career, I was speaking to Paul McDonald as he was doing hospitality pre-match on Saturday, and asked him specifically about you because your brother was there, obviously, with his pals, and you talked about your leadership, talked about your skills as a defender. But one phrase that stood out, he said, "Aero is always available." And it really is true. You know, I don't know if people appreciate you put your body in the line for this club, not always being able to train every day through the week, but you seem to always be there, ready to play come Saturday 3 p.m.
Yeah, I think it's this season especially has been hard for me in terms of injuries. I got an operation. It's not quite worked out as well as I would have liked, and I've been kind of carrying it all season. But at the end of the day, I've tried to do everything I can to make myself available. As I said on Saturday, maybe sometimes that's been to the detriment of myself in terms of my own individual performances, but I'm feeling a bit better now, and it's one of them, it's about managing it and try to get to the end of the season, and hopefully then I can go and get it dealt with. But it's too important, I feel, now to miss any games, so I'm just trying to kind of manage my body on a week-to-week basis, whether that be not training every day, managing it, and obviously resting up when I can. But I try and make sure that I'm available for the manager every Saturday, and to now I've managed to do that. So I've played every game, I think, this year, barring one when I was suspended. So that's been kind of my outlook always, is you're never going to be 100% in terms of fitness-wise. Like, you're always going to be carrying wee niggles. Don't get me wrong, this is maybe more serious than just being a wee niggle, but you just need to try and be available for the manager, and if he picks you, then so be it. But it's Thistle means a lot to me, and if I can go through a wee bit of pain for them, then I'm more than willing to do that.
Fair play, big man. Absolutely. I mean, that is putting team before self every time, but I'm sure the supporters really do appreciate that. Let's, as we always do, go back to the start. Talk about your, growing up as a young boy, kicking a ball. When did you start kind of falling in love with the beautiful game?
I think it'll be kind of what everybody says, as long as I can remember. It was where I stayed, there was a kind of grass area across the road, and it was a case of rain, hail or shine. I was out with a ball playing with my mates in the field, and maybe not so much nowadays. You don't see it, like kids out playing as much, but it was literally when you came home from school, it was straight out. You got shouted in for your dinner, and that was it. Out after it, shouted in at bedtime. That was me. School holidays, you were out away. Your mum would maybe shout you in for lunch, but sometimes you'd even miss going in for lunch. But that was it for us. And then kind of early stages, I used to go. My dad was the assistant manager under my Uncle Davy at Annan, and I can mind it, like every Saturday he would take me, and I'd go on the team bus with him. They'd be travelling. They used to play through in the kind of, so it was Easter Scotland League they played in. So from a very early age, I was right in amongst in terms of adults changing room, and I just loved. Yeah, obviously. And then half time, I was on the pitch after the game. My dad would maybe be in social club or whatever it was after, and I'd just be out on the pitch playing for as long as I can remember. It was brilliant for me, and all the guys were brilliant in terms of they would like have you right involved in it. On the way home, you'd stop, they'd always get you an ice cream or whatever on the way, like just really looked after you. So they were my kind of early memories of football for me.
Uncle Davy, we'll just acknowledge that a real Thistle favourite, David Irons, is your uncle. You've talked about influence in your life. How helpful was he along the way?
Yeah, he gave me wee bits of advice, I would say. It was more maybe when I was going from part-time and sign with Thistle the first time. He gave me a wee bits of advice, and then a couple of times he's always said to me, stay full-time football for as long as you can, because you'll miss it when you leave. So that's maybe has an influence on why I'm trying to hang on, playing injured, and try to play as much as I can. So he's given me wee snippets. I would say my dad probably had more an influence on me in terms of that, but any wee bits of advice or encouragement, he's been there, and as you say, I know he's highly thought of at Thistle.
Absolutely. What was breakthrough that you thought, I'm having fun kicking a ball about, to hear I actually want to be a professional footballer?
I think growing up, you always wanted to be. It was one you always got told, like it's one in a 1,000 make it or whatever it was, and I've always, like, I wouldn't say I hung my hat on it, because I had a kind of opportunity when I was 16, 17 to go and be full time. Although I wouldn't have been playing, but I'd have been in amongst it, kind of like a YT, if you like. But I made the decision to go and get my trade. Maybe was it the right decision, wrong decision at the time? I probably regretted it a wee bit, because you see some boys that they're breaking into first teams and whatnot, but I think it kind of worked out all right for me, because then I ended up being, as a young boy, playing in Annan's first team. Although Annan, it was only in League Two, but it was men's football, and it kind of gave me a good grounding. I played maybe 120, 130 games, so it worked out quite well in terms of I managed to do the 4 years and serve my time, and just after I'd served my time and passed my skills test, etc., then Thistle came in for me, so it worked out well that way, that I've got that to fall back on, and I still do a wee bit of that in my spare time when I can at the moment.
That's bricklaying apprenticeship?
Yeah, bricklaying, aye. So it's what I keep my hand in where I can. Obviously, I've maybe not been doing as much recently just due to my injuries. It's one of them, I can't do that when I'm injured. Football's a priority, but when I'm fully fit and stuff, I can do that in my spare time or in the off season, just to kind of keep my hand in for when it eventually comes that I need to hang my boots up.
Okay. Ayr United as a youth, is that right? As a youth, before you got in Tannin.
So the way it worked was that I was playing, I think it was Ayr under 19s, and my dad used to take me up to training, but they said to me that I could train with a team down in locally one night a week, and then train with them one night a week. And it so happened that it was Annan that I was training with, and then Harry Kearney was the manager, and he liked what he'd seen and kind of asked if I would basically join up with the first team there. So I went from playing, it was quite a quick transition, if you like, from youth football, although I'd still class that as youth football, to then into a first team. And it was good, because quite a lot of my friends from the local area played with Annan at the time, so it was quite an easy transition for me. It wasn't completely strange, and the fact I'd trained with them for quite a while gave me kind of a head start, because I'd been involved already.
Yeah. Were you centre half at that point?
So I was centre half at Ayr, but then when I first went to Annan, I played right back, because I was a lot fitter then than I'm now. So I could, and then we actually went to a back three, and I kind of played as a sweeper for, I would say, maybe a season or so, and then so I had never played as an out and out centre half. And when Jackie McNamara it was who signed me for Thistle, I spoke to him, and he was like, "I want you to play centre half." So I was quite taken aback, because the games that I knew that he came to watch me play right back. So I thought that I was coming to be a right back, but then I just kind of like got put in at centre half and took to it right away. Obviously, I was learning the game, and it was great having Archie next to me to kind of help me out. So it was thrown in at the deep end, if you like, sink or swim, and I think I managed to swim and had a great season.
Absolutely. We spoke for a match programme interview a while ago, and you told me about this possibility that it could have been so different going to Canada. Like, not apart from those who read that match programme at the time, people will probably be blissfully unaware of this. Talk to me about that.
Aye, so as a family, well, my uncle Donald, who's just passed away a couple of years ago, him and my Aunt Audrey and his 3 girls, they all lived in Canada. They've lived there. He went over, I think, when he was 19. So he's lived there the majority of his life. And it was somewhere we'd been a few family holidays, and then my mum and dad were quite keen for the family to move over there. So we actually were quite far through the process in terms of we had actually our passport stamped and basically were landed immigrants. And then the opportunity came for me to go full-time at football, and it was something, as I spoke about earlier, that I'd always wanted to do. And I said to my dad, like, I'll stay, you can go. And my dad had always said, like, it's either all of us or none of us type thing. So basically, it wasn't just that factor that we never went right, but I think that was quite a big factor. So we ended up not going, and I joined Thistle, and the rest is probably history, as you can say. But my big brother, actually, it's no Jordan, my older brother, he went over and lived there for maybe 3 or 4 years, maybe longer. I'm not 100% sure, but then eventually got homesick and came home. He went and kind of done it and experienced it and got that good life experience, if you like.
Wow. So, sliding doors, life's full of sliding doors moments. But everyone, I think it was Moffat you met Jackie to sign for Thistle, and that was a key moment in your life.
Yeah, definitely. And from the minute I met him, I knew that I wanted to sign for Thistle, and it was one of them actually. When I first signed for Thistle, I had to take a kind of hefty wage drop from my bricklaying wage and manning wage to sign. And at the time, everyone thinks, "Oh, footballer, brilliant! You'd be making like a postman would have been getting paid." And no disrespect to a postman, but they would have been getting paid more than me. I'm saying that because that was my dad. He was involved with the Royal Mail for 40 years. So I can remember the first phone call. It was Ian Maxwell at the time. And it was on loudspeaker, and I never had an agent or anything like that. And he offered me, and I'll always remember the look of my dad's face. My dad was like, "You can't say, like, I know what it costs to live, son. Like, you can't sign for that." And I kind of hung up, and I was like, "I'll get back to you," type thing. And then I just said to my dad, fair play, my mum and dad, they were like, "Well, we'll support you." So they kind of helped me a lot. To take the chance and take the opportunity that was given to me.
Were you 21 then?
About 21. So it's not, you're not just and you're away from home. I was obviously living in digs, so you had to pay the digs and things like that. So my wages were no longer getting swallowed up.
Who were you staying with in that season?
So it was Christy Elliott.
Yeah.
Me and him, I can remember that my first day, he picked me up because he was coming up from Newcastle, obviously, and he picked me up and brought me up to the digs. So it was him, Keelan McAleer and Declan McDade. So the four, don't get me wrong, it was good. It was a good laugh. You kind of obviously done a lot together. So it helped me settle into Glasgow as well, having other boys that were in similar situations, being away from home.
So that was you knocking the door again?
No.
Christie's, I'll let you have your cup of tea. I've just got a bullet point down that says season 2012-13. Talk to me. So much you could talk about. There's probably stuff that you're maybe sick talking about, which we'll, but like as a whole, as a 21-year-old footballer, to achieve that in your first kind of full-time season and everything that went with it, the journey you went on, changing manager, it was unbelievable, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's just for everybody that's watching. The two,
I'll get McEnroy and Bannigan.
The two Mitchell brothers are up at the
Why don't you come in? The first time we've had a podcast invasion. Come in.
Yeah, the Mitchell brothers have to come into this quickly. Right. So,
right, Mr. Bannigan, in one phrase, what do you think of this man? Miracle man. That's a nice thing to say, isn't it? That could mean anything, but we'll take it.
You got the boot on so that you're fit for this week, or what?
There you go. Thanks, lads.
You should maybe take a leaf out of my books. See you later.
The Mitchell brothers.
I don't know if it's because they've got a lot in common. In fact, the fact they're both bald as anything, that they're joint at the hip. So they try and wind me up on a daily basis, but they're two good lads, and hopefully that's him doing their rehab now, and hopefully they can be back fit.
Absolutely,
for us.
Absolutely.
I lost my train of thought there. But
I know. No, we were talking about to achieve that season 2012-13. We'll go into some specific moments in that season, but. What you've talked about your brother milking the celebrations on Friday night. Like that was a special thing for you to achieve at that age.
100%. And I think the fact that, as I said, they're living in the digs with the younger lads, and I think the squad as a whole, barring 2 or 3, we were all of similar age, and it was really special in terms of going and doing something so special. And I don't think it's till you get older that you realise quite how special it was, because. Obviously, it was my first season in full-time football, and you'd done it, and it was, I think, we spoke about it before, that you just thought, oh, that's enormous. Because when I met Jackie, he said, we're going to win the league. And I was like, oh, but he was adamant. He was like, if I can get the 2 or 3 players that I want in, he says we're going to go and win the league. And it was that confidence from I can remember the pre-season. We had I think it was a Firhill kind of pre-season tournament in Everton, Celtic and Airdrie it might have been. Mm. And we won that, and it was just a case of we just, from then on in, we just went on a run. And I think one thing I will say is what I think was important that season was Archie actually getting the job, because Jackie had us playing in a way that it was, if they score 4, we'll score 5. Whereas when Archie came in, he kind of tweaked 1 or 2 things in terms of defensively and made us more solid. And like at the weekend there, the ugly 1-0s that you would maybe go and grind out, they're massive and going to win a league. So that season as a whole was amazing. And then the fact that we'd done it early and meant you could have you were talking about that drawn out celebrations, we certainly milked that.
Well, like, I mean, Archie is Thistle have won 8 league titles in their history. Archie's been involved in 4 of them. Like, unbelievable figure at the club. When you took over, what was the vibe in the dressing room at that point? Obviously, he was part of it, but did you guys believe we'll follow you into battle and we're going to do this?
I think it was. I'm sure, did we play Morton the first game after Jackie left? Am I right?
He
was
like
interim charge, and I think you've seen the celebrations. I'm sure it was Squiddy scored, and we all ran to him. And then in the changing room, everyone wanted Archie to get the job, but I think that kind of just showed everybody and showed we were right behind him. And as you say, Archie's legend gets branded about quite a bit. I mean, Stevie Lawless thinks he's a legend, but Archie's a proper legend of the club, and everyone was right behind him. And it was, for him, he just basically said, I'm not going to change a lot, like, keep doing what we're doing. And the only thing I would say, he maybe took a back seat in terms of playing.
Yeah,
he was obviously registered as a player, but it was then it kind of became me and Conrad. So he kind of took a back seat for playing, just to fully focus on being a manager. But it was great to play under Archie again. And as I said, when I first joined, he made it so easy for me playing alongside him.
Yeah.
A young lad coming into a team. He was great to play next to as well.
What do you pick out from that season in terms of moments? Because you've got like Fog game at Cowdenbeath, you've got the big Morton game here, James Craigan night. You've also got the Ramsden's Cup final and all that went with that. You've got the celebrations at Falkirk. There's so much to it. What one moment stands out for you?
I think the Fog one at Cowdenbeath was a big one for me in terms of, like, I can't remember the score, but we were getting beaten. And something made me think that Morton were on a team night out that night and they were celebrating in terms of the fact we were getting beat. So that was a big, in terms of momentum, was huge for us. And it's a long time ago, but you can remember it being. And something made me think, did we play them about 3 times in a week? Cowdenbeath.
Yeah.
So and we went and we won, and so that was huge. And obviously, I'm sick hearing about it every year. James Craigan puts it on his social media, but that was huge. For me, I wasn't involved because I got sent off, obviously, in the Ramsden's Cup. But that was huge for, like, well, it's the one that's kind of spoke about the season-defining moment. And it was. I think everyone was more in shock with the fact that James had actually scored. But it was a huge goal for him, and he'll forever live on in the memory of the Thistle fans for that.
Absolutely. The only way I'm going to bring up the Ramsden's Cup final, because you missed a penalty. You had a penalty saved.
Yep.
And that's not happened too often. There was actually a tweet went out the other day, and just a random one looking for quote replies, and it said, "Who's the best penalty taker of all time?" I was like, "It's Big Hero." Because your numbers, something around 37 out of 39.
Around that, I think it is.
It's unbelievable.
No, I've had a good penalty record, and I think it started at Annan, and I scored the season before I signed for Thistle. I scored maybe about 10 in one season, and then when I came, I can remember it. We got a penalty early, and I just made a beeline for the ball, and I think it might actually been Kenny Arthur, the goalie coach. It was in goals for Airdrie at the time. And I scored a few that season.
Thanks, Kenny.
Cheers, Kenny. No, I have a bit of banter with him on a kind of daily basis about it. And I scored that, and it was just kind of, then that was it. And don't get wrong, as you said there, the Ramsden's Cup final, I was disappointed to miss it. It's a big moment, but the fact we managed to equalise after it kind of softened the blow, and it wasn't just on me in terms of that. But as I said, we had the Morton game very quickly after that, so I think we didn't have much time to dwell on the fact that we'd been beaten in
Sunday, Wednesday, wasn't it?
Yeah. Archie came in after the game and just said, listen, like, if we go and win on Wednesday, then this will be forgotten about. So just forget about it, but don't dwell on it and get yourselves ready. And I think the fact it was such a big game coming up helped everybody just park that and move on. And I think if MD had offered you before the Ramsden's Cup final that you lose the cup final and win the league, everybody would have bit their hand off. So that was kind of the way it worked out, and the boys went and got the job done on Wednesday night.
And from beating Morton to flying to Magaluf, let's skip over all the rest of the season. Who shine a light on some of the players? You don't need to give stories away here, but who are the...
Sean Welsh, I would say, was the biggest riot, if that's the kind of question. There's some things that I'll maybe not be able to say.
Absolutely.
He can't handle his drink, let's put it that way. He was a bit of a riot. Stevie, he's a kind of toucan Dan and all, but he's that way. He gets drunk early, but then that's him. He just stays on that level. He doesn't really get any. He's just drunk early, and then that's him for the rest of the day. No, it was good actually. Scotty McKenzie, who was like not the assistant, but the kind of third man in the coaching team, he was the biggest riot. I think he got found in a bin or something the next morning. He'd fell asleep. But no, that was as I've said earlier. All the boys similar age. The fact you've then won the league and you can go on a holiday with them all and celebrate it was different class. So it was.
And we should both, of course, to our younger audience, fully endorse a drink responsibly message. The best thing you can drink is water. Stay hydrated in the sun and just enjoy yourselves that way, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. That is what I done. That's exactly what I done.
Playing top flight football then, again at a young age, well, a great achievement for you, having stepped up from playing for Aaron only a couple of seasons before.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the first season, that was the season I played most games in the top flight, and I can remember Archie, it was obviously the fact that he'd stopped playing and they were trying to bring other centre-halves in, but I can remember he pulled me and Conrad and said, listen, you two are my centre-halves, I'm bringing these in as cover type thing, so don't get worried when you see, because there was quite a few boys would come in on trial. He's like, I'm not trying to replace you, so can I just continue on from last season? That's a great experience. Again, don't get me wrong, it was tough at times, it's the top flight, but it was a great experience, and I felt like we gave a good account of ourselves. A lot of the games I felt at the beginning of the season we were playing teams off the park. So, no, that was good. And then, obviously, you lead on, you end up leaving, and that was sad at the time, but it was probably right for both parties that I did move on. But I was lucky enough that Ian McCall kind of gave me the chance to come back.
Aye, I just played under some interesting characters between Jackie and Archie, and then Ian McCall and obviously Chris now, for probably quite different styles. What convinced you to come back? Because sometimes people think, I don't want to go back in case it's just not the same. What were the big factors there?
Well, I think at the time I was, I loved my time at Ayr. There was a lot of good people at Ayr. Obviously, Ian McCall had taken me to Ayr, and I think if it was any other club, I wouldn't have had interest from other clubs. But if it was anybody else, I probably wouldn't have left there. And I think Ian McCall kind of knew the fact that because it was Thistle that he could convince me. And I can remember if he phoned me, and once he phoned me, my kind of heart was set, and I knew, right, I'm definitely going back to Thistle. And at the time, he said to me, you'll come in and you'll be a squad player. And my reaction, I think he kind of alluded to it, was, I'm effing sure I'll not be a squad player.
Not, yeah.
And luckily, it's worked out that I've managed to get my way in the team. You need a wee bit of luck in terms of other players getting injured, because I knew when I was joining them that Thistle were a good side. There was good players there, so it was up to me to work hard and get in the team. And then, obviously, we ended up going on that run to the playoff final, and in the end of it was. But it was a great experience that in itself, in terms of the run we went on and we got there. It was just heartbreaking to fall short in that final day, and that's another memory that I'll live with forever. And it was good that we managed to go to Dingwall and get the win in the Scottish Cup and kind of take away a bit of that hurt. Don't get me wrong, I think it'll always still hurt that. It was a sore one in the way that it happened, just everything about it. And you're gutted for your family, your teammates, and most importantly the fans that day. It was gutting because they kind of came in their numbers, and I think it was just one of the days it wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, it's not something we've over-explored on any of the podcasts so far, but you've nailed it in the head there pretty much. Let's hope we can make up for it. But as you say, at least there was a positive journey back there this season. At the end of that game and all the time, because you were here first time as a 21-year-old, you've come back, you've got your own family now. They're with you a lot. I think they were there that day, weren't they? And just tell us a bit about them, because I know how important they are to you, and the girls have had the chance to run out with you, which is pretty special.
No, as I said earlier about my dad, he's important, but my wife and 2 kids are equally as important, if not more, because more so I would say that now, like, my kids are grown up and they've got their own things, so my wife kind of allows me to have the Saturday in terms of she'll look after them, and it's hard for her at sometimes, and I'm enjoying it more now because my youngest's right into football, loves watching me in the telly. She plays in her own wee team, and as you said, she's came and been mascot a couple of times, and it's the highlight of her week, coming watching and loves it. And as I said, the support I get from my wife and the kids you notice it more after a defeat. I think you get home and to them it doesn't matter whether you win, lose or draw. It's just dad coming home and they're excited to see you, and you're no longer forgetting about any football, as much as I'll probably let it fester and stew. But then when you get in, you just need to put dad mode back on and try and be the fun character, because I think everyone maybe thinks I'm an angry guy and that, but there's no longer a soft side coming at me when it comes to my kids and my wife.
Beautiful. Give them a name check then.
So my wife Sarah and 2 daughters, Emily and Olivia. Olivia's 12, she'll be 13, going on 21, and then Emily's 6, she'll be 7 in August. And she's, I think everyone back home's getting sick of the boing boing, because my brother's been doing Partick Thistle boing boing, and then I put in Emily sings Partick Thistle boing boing after the game at the weekend there. I had a phone call from her. She was singing that down the phone. She just loves it.
I can't get enough of that. That's class. And all your family would have taken great pride in you being appointed vice captain, supporting Brian in his role. And when he's not on the pitch, the armband comes to you. That must mean a lot too.
Yeah, I think Brian's doing a great role in terms of everything he's doing at the club now, whether it be captaining us, the women's team obviously got to a cup final, and then back-to-back top 6 finishes. He's doing well. So to be vice captain at Thistle, it's, to me, it doesn't matter whether I'm captain, vice captain, or just a player. I'll always kind of be the same way, I think. But I'm there for Brian if he ever needs kind of leaning on, or the rest of the boys. There's been a few things that have happened that boys will come to you for advice, and as an older player now, you just kind of need to be there and try and point them in the right direction when you can, and lead by example where you can. But no, it's like pulling the armband on. It's a great privilege, and I'm lucky that I'm one of the players that can say they've done it for Thistle.
Yeah. And if I'm not wrong, I think Thistle's now the club you've played the most amount of games for in your career across the 2 spells, tops anything else. Have you played more in these 2 seasons than you thought? Probably not, because you came in and said I'm playing, but you've not hardly missed a game.
Yeah, I would say maybe I have played more than I thought. You've always got that doubt in the back of your mind when you go in. At the beginning, obviously, the gaffer, Ian McCall, had said you're going to be a squad player. And you've got the self-belief, but when you come in and you know what's ahead of you, you know how successful the boys had been previous to that. But it was up to me just to work hard and get in the team. And it's one of them now that, as I say, my form's maybe been a wee bit up and down this year. Some of that's maybe down to carrying an injury, other things. But I feel I'm kind of managing it now, and I'm doing all right. And the last few games, my form's picked back up again. And hopefully I can get through at the end of the season and get it dealt with, and then come back next season refreshed.
Yeah, I think you're being a bit harsh on yourself, especially given the recent form's been absolutely fantastic. You've had to play with some different central defensive partners, and obviously you've got Big Luke next to you at the moment, who's doing a great job alongside you. Just talk about Waz, because we talked about him at the start of the podcast, and obviously had a pretty emotional podcast in our last episode. But you know, I know you're away down the road, so you can't be best buddies with him, but you have reached out and you have kind of tried to support him, haven't you?
Yeah, I think obviously a lot of people were taken aback by Big Wazzy's podcast, and I think it's credit to him what he's came through in his life, and if you were to see him on a day-to-day basis, you would never know, because he's a bubbly character. But it's one of them that's when you just need to, it shows you in life that not everything's what you see on the. So you need to make sure you're there for people, as I alluded to. And I was when Waz was going through a wee bit of a tough time, I reached out and went round and just was there it wasn't I'm running he's all lovey-dovey and soft, but it was just being there as that kind of support for him. And as I say, it's hard when you're away down the road, but the big man knows that if he ever needs anything, then I'm at the end of a phone or whatever. But I think he's came through it, and he's came through it strong, and it's hard for him now. The fact he came back, done well, and then he's injured again. So, but as I said, he's the first one to congratulate the boys after the game, and he's always in positive, encouraging boys. And fingers crossed he can be back sooner rather than later and go and kick on in terms of play on the pitch.
Here. Well said, well said. So, look, this season, ambitions, it's pretty obvious what we'd all like to do, but, you know, for you, and as your body of work in your career, to take Thistle back to the top flight, whether this season or next season, icing in the cake almost to complete that circle.
100%. I think me and you've spoke about it many times. Thistle means a lot to me, and it's if you can go and take them back to the top flight for the second time, that would be amazing. It'll be a tough ask, of course, especially this season, but I think if we could get everybody fit and go on a wee run like we did last year, then never say never. But now the priority is just cementing the playoff places, and then anything can happen. As you've seen last year, the run we went on in the playoffs. So that would be, you kind of said it, icing on the cake for me at Thistle.
So players will clearly need to be, if we get to the playoffs, we've not secured it yet, but players will need to be up for it. Fans need to be up for it as well, because the fans made a difference last year.
1,000,000% last year. And I think it's more when you hear it from other players, you know what the fans bring, but when you hear it from players that are at other teams, and then that's maybe why they want to join Thistle, because of the support that you get. The fans are huge for us, and that run to the playoffs, they were amazing. Like, just the back, it's cliche, isn't it? 12th man, but there was a lot of times that you just go out and you just had that confidence. You knew they were behind you, and the fact we blew teams away in the playoffs obviously fell short, but they were huge for us.
That's a great message for the supporters, even just as we head into 2 away games coming up, which will both be tough in their own way, that the support genuinely makes a huge difference. So let's keep boinging, hopefully. What about your life after football? Because you've got your own trade, you've got a beautiful family. Is staying in football part of that equation? What do you think long term?
It's one thing that I've never, I've not done any coaching badges. It's not a thing that's kind of jumped out at me and appealed to me. I think it's very cutthroat in terms of management. You see how many people are out of work. There's not a lot of job security there. Obviously, I've got my trade, whether that's a long-term thing, but that's there in terms of till I decide exactly what lies in store for me for the rest of my life, then that's there to fall back on. So my wife will probably back me up when I say this. She would rather I got my finger out and decided what it is I want to do, but I don't think, coach, I don't know if I've got the patience to deal with your Stephen Laws, Stuart Bannigans, Kerr McEnroys in the world. I don't know if I'd have the patience for that, so I don't think, don't get me wrong, maybe my outlook might change, because a lot of folk you hear that are coaches or managers now are like, I never wanted to be, and then it's like a wee light switch. Yeah. So
you've got the comfort, you've already got one strong option in the bag, I suppose, haven't you?
100%. Yeah. And I mean, you see Brian, he's never in the house now, the coaching, and it's one of them, you need to make sure it's right for the kind of family, work life. So what's in store for me, I don't quite know yet, but hopefully it's another few years of playing football. Absolutely. To worry about that.
Absolutely. Okay. Final one, if you were to have a chat to that 21-year-old Aaron Muirhead, is there any advice you'd give him based on your experience now? What would you say?
I would just say enjoy every moment. I think, to be fair, when we won the league, Archie said to us, enjoy this because it doesn't come around often. Yeah. And at the time, a lot of us were young and we thought, no bother, like, this is just what you do. You go and win a league. But it's not till you look back and you realise how big an achievement that was, and it doesn't come around often. So I enjoy that, and it's one of them. You just don't get too high with the highs and too low with the lows, and try and always be a good person in terms of what you're giving back to people. That's something I would say I've kind of mellowed in my older age and trying to be a better role model, if you like. I think maybe having kids does that for you as well.
Absolutely, definitely. Beautiful words. Always available. We started with that, available this Saturday.
Hi, as I say, I'm just managing my body on a week-to-week basis, and I'll be available for selection for the manager, as Paul McDonald says. I'm always available. Fingers crossed that can be the case from now to the end of the season, and I hope it's a memorable one come the end. And fingers crossed we can secure the playoffs and then just see what happens after that.
Oh, aye, we'll all stick together and do it together like we entered it last season, and that'll be the spirit again this season once we've secured it. So I think that is plenty from me. Thank you so much, Aero. It's been an absolute delight to speak to you. We'll see you in Dunfermline on Saturday. Thanks also to Glasgow Taxis for sponsoring this episode. And we've actually reached out at the end of our previous episodes to player sponsorship opportunities. If anyone wants to be Aero's fuel sponsor, give us a call.
I get it on the phone.
Absolutely welcome. And thanks to the podcast rooms, as always, and thanks to yourselves for listening. We'll be back next week with episode 6 to round off the series, and we'll see you on Saturday before then. Thank you very much. On the Jacks.